Well, and welcome to Not Your Podcast. We're going to talk about Petey Keg's breath. You know, the cockahead cracker Klansman at the DOD and just the whole entire war play that's unnecessary in every kind of way and all the mistakes he's made being the leader, which he's not qualified to be. This is Christina from Christina Talks Tea, and Veronica, of course, my sister, is with me. Now let's get right on to what we want to talk about today. We are on day 145 of the unnecessary war. You know, the war that was supposed to last 2 weeks, baby. Yeah. 145. Yeah, that's way more than 2 weeks. Unfortunately, the fatback's not good at cosplaying Napoleon, as you can see.
Right.
With his little 2-week
Crazy.
plays. There's a few things that I want to talk about. Firstly, Daddy Dumpy Pants came out to say that apparently we're going to hit Iran like we've never hit them before. I know you've heard that a million times, but let me clarify what he means by that. Just yesterday, the Air Force sent all of our Europe-based fighter jets to the Middle East. All of them. They removed F-16s, F-35s, F-15s from Germany, from Italy, from the UK. They're even sending an aerial tanker to support. So basically, there are no U.S. air capabilities in European countries today. You know, the same places that Voldemort Poontain from Russia wants to strike and take over too. Yeah. At this unnecessary war, we've had to relocate most of our global military to the Middle East. That can't be good
Oh
for
my
global peace.
God. What the
Yes.
fuck?
Yes.
No
I was
way.
shocked
I'm
to see
sitting here
that.
trying to contain my surprise and absolute. I, I don't. What? What are you saying to me right now? Are you serious?
Yeah, we're losing so bad.
Oh
We're
my
having to
God.
take all of our shit from Europe and take it to the Middle East. And we've already moved everything from over there to prevent China from taking Taiwan, which, by the way, some more military news for you is that we found out last week China has started compiling blueprints on government infrastructure in Taiwan. They're making plans to take Taiwan because,
Wow.
you know, we're preoccupied
Wow.
in the Middle East with the unnecessary war, which is not going the fatback's way today.
Unbelievable.
But before we get too much into what's going on in the Middle East today as gas is spiking expeditiously, I want to talk about some of the things that have happened on the homeland in regards to our military. Now, we know that the Republican crew at the GOP, they've been cutting away benefits from veterans and shit. They lost their capability to own a home. We've watched our service members stand in food bank lines while Petey Kegsbreath spent the $98 billion he had in surplus buying grand pianos and fruit stands and iPads. And, well, he did
And
feed them that one
lobsters.
meal. You know, they got that
Right.
one dinner. So I guess that
Mhm.
was supposed to be okay. Y'all know
Right.
all the air mistakes that have been made as of late, the flyovers? Like the
Yes.
Kitty Crack Rock getting his little joyride in the Apache helicopter, and then there was the Apaches on Myrtle Beach that were flying real low too. And then we had the incident in Pensacola where the Blue Angels came so low to the beach
Oh,
that
that
it
was
made sand
scary.
blow everywhere. Y'all remember that? And Peter
That was
Kegsbreath came
that
out
was
to say
scary.
this is patriotism. This is building morale. Well, I found out from Stars and Stripes yesterday that military air traffic controller shortages are hindering homeland security. I'll say that again for you. The military air traffic controllers are so depleted and so low of help that it is causing problems for homeland security. That day that the
How
Blue
does that make us
Angels,
safer?
I'm not sure, but that day that the Blue Angels did that little stunt and it put everybody's life in danger. Well, for those of you that don't know, the Air Force Base that controls their flyovers and their fly shows is Eglin Air Force Base. And guess what? At Eglin Air Force Base, shortages created a risk to aircraft, airfield maintenance. It caused overseas missions to be delayed
Wow.
as well. So
What?
before they ever took to the sky to put on a show, it was already a security risk. It was already a problem, and there should have been taken extra care not to make a mistake by flying too low
Oh
in
my
the air.
God.
And one of the reasons they're seeing so much shortages in the Air Force with air traffic controllers is, well, firstly, recruitment's really low, thanks to people
Yes.
dying on bases during training of the flu and things like that, and all of the guardrails that they put up to where they just want white men to join in. But
Wow.
also, the FAA pays more. So the military and the Air Force is having trouble trying to convince these civilians who do air traffic control to come work for the military because the pay is better elsewhere today. And you may be thinking that we don't really need to worry about this because we have the FAA. Well, what you don't know, and what I didn't know either, is that a fifth of the Air Force's 913 authorized air traffic control positions are vacant. And believe it or not, even when it comes to civilian air traffic, the Air Force helps out with about 30% of that. Now, while the FAA controls 70% of the Air Force controls 30% of it. And that 30% has been depleted by a fifth. But yes, let's do really low flyovers for patriotism, honey.
Oh
Just
my God.
let's
That
let's
makes
just
that
let's just keep doing really low
exponentially.
flyovers because somehow that builds morale. And I'm sure when one of those aircraft crashes into civilians, it's really gonna build the morale of the military. Petey is one of the dumbest son of a bitches to ever walk the face of the earth, honey.
Girl. And the fucking the
I mean, let's look
threat
look
that
look
he
at some of his
attached to
mistakes.
that.
So he gives Border Patrol a military-grade laser weapon to shoot down drones.
Mhm.
Airspace in El Paso goes down because they don't know how to use it, and they think there's an enemy drone in the air, and it turns out to be a party balloon. A party balloon. They shot down a party balloon. They shut down air traffic for a party balloon, confusing it with an
Oh
enemy
my
drone.
God.
A week
Oh Lord.
later, air traffic control gets airspace gets shut down in El Paso again because they have used the laser to shoot down one of our own military drones.
I remember that. I remember. I was just like, wow.
These
It's
military drones cost millions of dollars. And we're just giving, the equipment to take them down to Border Patrol. The unqualified officers that are in the street killing people. And now they've got a laser that can take down a damn plane, and they're using it to take down our own drones. That's how competent this idiot is, honey.
it's absolutely crazy to me. I cannot with that. It's just so stupid. Literally, he opens his mouth and shit comes out. But the one thing about the Blue Angels thing, I couldn't believe after he did that bullshit, and then he's like, "We're going to continue these flyovers until morale improves." How in the fuck does that improve morale for any American? Like you think that a Blue Angel going through the air is going to do what exactly? How about you put some of that money that you spend on all your bombs on the people's
If you
fucking
want to build
kitchen table?
morale in the military, give them a fair wage, the opportunity to buy a home, some
Exactly.
health care, and an actual retirement, honey. If you want to raise morale today, it's not flyovers that make civilians and service members unsafe. And yesterday he sat up there and whined and begged for money for a war that he has not been approved to even have in the first place. And I want to talk about what was passed in the House, that defense funding bill, because there were some things in there we need to talk about.
Mm-mm.
Firstly,
Right.
they tried to
Yes.
tie the SAVE Act to it and all that. No Grace Nancy Mace. Of course, she's always on this transgender, gender affirming care thing. She added that to it too. No funding for gender affirming care in the military, which would mean that Petey Kegsbreath is not going to have access to all that testosterone that he wants to use in the male troops,
Precisely.
because giving men
Exactly.
testosterone is gender affirming care. And
Period.
also, $125 million of that budget is for changing the name to the Department of War. Now, even though he's put little placards up at his office and all of that, it is not officially the
It's not
Department of
official.
War.
Mm-mm.
But in order to
No.
do that, they're going to need $125 million. And for those of you that are confused why it costs so much, is because we've got to change Department of Defense that is on everything to Department of War. Every
Right.
label, every door, every plane, every vehicle, every
Letterhead,
badge, all of it has to be changed
everything. Right.
to the Department of
Right.
War. And they meant it too.
Mm-mm.
They promised you no new wars, and then they came out to say we're changing it to the Department of War. And y'all are all still confused that we are currently in 8 different conflicts. You know, he likes to get up there and say I've ended 8 wars. No, 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 no. He's actually started 8 different conflicts. We have multiple
Right.
conflicts going on around the globe, whether it's committing red rum and muck duck in the Caribbean seas or in the Pacific too. We've got troops deployed in Mexico coming after cartels. They're ready to do a ground
Mm-mm.
invasion inside of Cuba today. We've got
Right.
National Guard stationed in Egypt currently to keep little Dudu Netanyahu at bay because he wants part of Egypt too. We've got some troops
Oh my
stationed
God.
outside of
My
Manila
head
today because
hurts.
shit's going down over there as well. You know, we've got to have our troops on the borders of Poland because Voldemort Putin is trying to take Poland
Hmm.
too. I mean, we are
Right.
spread really thin across the globe everywhere because of this man. And at the
It's
same time, he
insanity,
thinks he's going to
Christina.
take $350 billion to put Putin on the ground in the U.S. of A to fight against Democrats because we disagree with him. Where you
Oh
going to
my
get them boots at?
God.
Well, where you going to get them from, honey?
Right?
You got us placed all over the fucking
Do
place,
I
honey. Where are you getting them from? That don't make no damn sense. Logistically, they can't militarily take us over. So y'all don't worry about
It's
that, baby.
impossible. It's
Y'all
impossible.
don't worry about that.
But that's not going to stop him from actually grifting and asking every single one of his little con constituents, this little MAGA base, from donating to what it is that he's trying to do. He uses every single fucking opportunity he can to try to go ahead and take some money from these people that are already struggling, and they willingly give it. I don't understand that at all. Like, he literally has told you that he's, just like you said, the man of no new wars, yet he changes the Department of Defense to the War Department, having the name war in the Defense Department. It just doesn't make any sense. And how people stand 10 toes down for this orange fucking clown is beyond me. Because he
They don't
literally
want you to
says
vote
one
if you've
thing and
changed
does
your name.
another.
You know, you're not allowed to vote if you've changed your name, but
Oh my
they can
God.
take $125 million from you so they can change their name.
Exactly. Did you hear about that woman, speaking of name changes, that was here in the state of Texas with all of the bullshit that he's trying to do, where she had been divorced and she's actually trying to go and get her driver's license so that she can be able to vote. And now she can't do it because she doesn't have a copy of her previous marriage certificate and divorce certificate because she's been divorced now for 18 years. And they're like, well, why didn't you change your name? Well, why most women don't change their name, you have to go and change your social security card. You have to do so much shit just to
Because
change
women
your
fresh
name.
out of
Nobody wants to
divorce
go
just
through
have
all that.
so much extra money laying around in the middle of a divorce to go change
Exactly.
their name. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And they're making it
But we can pay
impossible for her
to
to get
change
an
the name
ID.
of the fucking Department of Defense. Makes no sense.
Exactly. Exactly.
Makes
It
no sense
makes
whatsoever.
complete sense to me. Oh my God, it's so annoying and so fucking pathetic. I just cannot with this entire thing. I just wonder, like, how many times or how much does this man have to do? Like, how many lies does he do the MAGA base, do they understand that they are in an abusive relationship? Like, this is the worst boyfriend on the fucking planet. Like, he's like,
I told you,
I
baby,
promise
they're
you.
masochists. They enjoy the abuse. It's their kink,
Why? Like,
apparently.
I don't
Yeah,
understand.
they just abuse me
He
more, daddy. Abuse me
literally,
more. I mean, they do enjoy calling him daddy, so I guess they like to be
oh
spanked,
my
but
God,
that
it's
ain't my thing.
so
So
gross. I know. But
that is
I mean,
not
I
my thing.
personally would be pissed off if you sat there and just lied to me and thought that I was so fucking stupid that I was going to accept everything that you say at face value when it has been proven wrong over and over again.
Yeah.
Just flat out lies.
There's this
Flat out
saying
lies,
that
Christina.
if you can't clean your own house, you shouldn't be trying to clean others. And Petey Keg's Breath and Daddy Dumpy Pants are over there trying to clean the Middle East house. Meanwhile, yesterday in Fort Hood, they had to close down the mess hall because of cockroaches.
Ew,
We
what?
literally can't keep the mess hall clean at Fort Hood today, but he thinks he's gonna go clean up some mess in the Middle East, baby.
Oh my
Cockroaches.
God.
I'm not shitting you, baby. Cockroaches. They were like, what the fuck?
What
There's
the
cockroaches everywhere. We can't eat in here.
fuck?
They had to shut down the mess hall over bugs. So between
Oh
the
my
flu
God.
and the bugs and the fucking poo, and not to mention we've been having some mysterious deaths in the military. In Parrish Island, the Marine drill instructor, 2 Marine drill instructors have been found dead in the last 2 weeks. They're saying it's
What?
unrelated, but that's very strange to me. They found one of them in a hotel room, and the other one was in a residence.
What? And did
And
they
then
say,
a
well,
couple years ago,
how
a
recent?
few more. Now, there's depression and there's suicide, but none of these have been ruled a suicide
Huh.
at all. So we've been having some mysterious deaths in the military, in the Marines, to add to the total of the not so mysterious deaths that are happening in the unnecessary war, which we're about to talk
Well, I
about
mean,
because yesterday, the Houthis blocked off the Red Sea, which is normally controlled by Saudi Arabia, and that is why gasoline spiked over $100 a barrel today. So much for Daddy Dumpy
yes.
Pants' cheap freedom gas.
Right.
That's not
Right.
going to be coming through,
I have
honey.
some gas for him. I have
Sorry,
gas right now.
sorry. And to make matters
Right.
worse for Daddy Dumpy Pants today, one of our allies in the Middle East, Iraq, their prime minister is currently in Iran today, speaking with the president of Iran. Now, one of the reasons
That
we've been able to
interesting?
continue doing what we're doing is because our allies in the Middle East have bit their tongue about it, as Iran's striking inside of Iraq and everywhere else.
Wow.
But
Wow.
today, Iraq said, we're going to go talk to Iran. You see, what most people don't know is that Iran supplies Iraq with most of their energy and their oil, about $12 billion worth of it a year. Without
Wow.
Iran, Iraq is left in the dirt and in the dark, basically. And the last thing that Daddy Dumpy Pants needed today was Middle Eastern allies going to meet with Iran so they can work it out between themselves without
Mm.
America's interference. That's
Huh.
not good for his war plans. And then what
No.
happened with the nuclear deal with Saudi Arabia, which I already knew it was in the works, but know it was in the works for months and months and months. Well, part of that deal on paper is just that they can basically do whatever they want to do. And then this morning he woke up after getting his call from his handler, little Dudu Netanyahu, in the land that is not real, flipped out yesterday when they found out that Saudi Arabia would have the capabilities with the permission of the U.S. president to make nuclear fuel and weapons. So he bent the knee and he said today that the deal is off the table unless Saudi Arabia is willing to normalize Israel. Now, you're going to hear this a
Normalize
lot.
Israel.
What they mean by normalize is they want Arab nations in the Middle East to agree that Israel's not committing a genocide and that they don't have borders. They want all of the neighboring countries to agree and normalize that Israel doesn't have a border, which means Israel can continue to stretch their border into Arab countries. And if you've looked at the map of their grand plans for greater Israel, it takes the whole top chunk
Right.
away
Right.
from Saudi Arabia.
Right.
Saudi Arabia was trying to avoid that and get defense by having that nuclear deal. And the fatback
Mm.
just wiped that away in favor of Israel. That's what we did in Lebanon, too. Just a few weeks ago, we had talks. The leaders of Lebanon came across this way because they needed to talk to the president. They were getting bombed, and a genocide was underway in South Lebanon thanks to Israel. And he convinced them
Mm-mm.
to normalize Israel, meaning Israel can keep just creeping further and further and further into Lebanon, drawing new lines of what their border might be. Some of these
That is
Middle
just
Eastern
so
countries
sick.
have bent the knee, not understanding that Israel's not going to stop. There will not
They're
be
not.
peace in the Middle
Mm-mm.
East until Israel has very defined borders that they cannot cross. But
Mhm.
nobody's trying to make that happen. Not one of these treaties or state agreements going all the way back to when we first started signing them and doing them in the early 1900s. None of them state that Israel has borders, meaning they can
That is
continue doing
crazy.
this. So
Oh my
today, when
God.
he said that about the nuclear deal with Saudi Arabia, he lost Saudi Arabia's support. They may not
Mm,
come out publicly and say that, but that was a way for them to secure their border, to keep Israel at bay. And that's off the table
right.
today. So he just lost Iraq and he just lost Saudi Arabia.
That is crazy.
He just
And it's
lost them.
just isn't it interesting how all it takes is one single phone call from Dudu for everything to change? Because you know that he's just out here just making all these decisions, just all rogue, just doing whatever comes to mind,
Yeah.
and not really
And
consulting with anyone because he says
and
whatever the fuck he wants and
and
does
trust me,
whatever he
we
wants.
don't want Saudi Arabia to have nuclear capabilities
No.
in
Oh,
any
absolutely
kind
not.
of way.
No.
But we also don't want Israel not to have a defined border so they
Precisely.
can continue their genocide and colonization plays. And what
Well,
Americans need to understand is
Israel
the whole entire reason we're over there in the first place is because nobody can get Israel to stop committing genocide. We're not over there because Iran was making a nuclear weapon. That
no.
is not why we're over there. I don't care how much they say that to you. We had intelligence. They were nowhere near making a nuclear weapon. They had no intent to in that country. It is haram, meaning it is against religious law to do so.
Haven't they
It
been
wasn't their
2 weeks
top
away?
interest.
Right. For the last 40 years, haven't they been 2 weeks away from creating a nuclear
Yes,
weapon? For the
yes,
last 40
yes.
fucking years,
My whole
they're 2
life.
weeks away,
My
they're
whole
2 weeks
life.
away, they're 2 weeks away. I
My
I
whole
mean,
entire life, I've had to listen to Israel tell me as an American that my safety's on the line because Iran's going to make a nuclear weapon. I'm still waiting.
in 2 weeks, in 2 weeks. It's his famous
It ain't
2
happening,
weeks.
baby.
It's the 2-week play. God, I mean, come on. And then you have to wonder what is the definition of eviscerated or just completely depleted or completely bombed them to
Well, he's got
the
his
other
own
side of the
math, baby.
universe.
He's got his own math
Oh
and
my
his own
God.
meanings for words. For some reason, to them, socialism means communism. The other day, he said that he had ended their nuclear capabilities, but what we're doing right now is stopping because apparently, in his mind, ending and stopping are two totally different things.
Oh my God, I saw that. That was so stupid.
We
Word,
we're just
words are
redefining
important.
everything for some old ass man who has dementia and thinks that
Oh my
the
God.
Pinky Herman is is out
Pinky
here
Herman, I
somewhere.
heard that. He looks like Pinky Herman.
He looks
And
like
everybody's
Pinky
like,
Herman. I was like, who the fuck is Pinky Herman, baby?
oh my
I don't
God,
remember
man.
that. I don't remember
Oh,
Pinky
me
Herman's
either.
Playhouse.
Yeah,
That's all
I don't
him. I don't know
remember
nothing
that.
about that.
Did you hear how much he was slurring his words, though? Did you hear how
It's
much he was
getting
slurring
worse.
those words?
Yeah, it's getting much, much worse. We are so
It was
close to him
so
taking his
bad.
last
Oh
breath.
my God. It was so close. Was that
And it
the
doesn't
same
seem
speech where that
like
guy was like making
anybody in
fun
the
of him
White
behind
House
him?
cares.
I
They want
don't
to
think
make
that
fun
they
of us
do.
for talking about how ill he is. Well, I'm going to make fun of you for elder abuse because it doesn't seem like you
Right.
care that he is
They
unwell.
don't. No. Like, are you doing this on purpose because you're just waiting for that time, and then
At
you're
some
gonna
point,
backpedal all of the bullshit that you've done because you think that that's
like
gonna
you got to
fucking
wonder, are
save
they just
you?
sitting back waiting for him to die
Mm,
so they can they can move past all of
I
these?
the thing about it is that I don't know about you, Christina, like, I mean, actually do know, but I'm telling you right now that if the next person that comes into office doesn't hold this entire fucking administration accountable, and we say that we just need to get past that bullshit, that no fucking way will I accept that bullshit. I will not. Every single one
We
of
did
these
that
people
last
needs to
time.
go through the
And I
trials.
understand why we did that last time. We were coming out of a pandemic. The economy was bad. People were ill. There was a lot going on. So I get why the last Democratic administration didn't focus real hard on coming after all the corruption that happened under the Peter and Chief's first regime. But we ain't got that going on today. There's no excuses not to hold their feet to the
Mm-mm.
flame. There's none.
No,
And until we start actually bringing real accountability, we're just on repeat like a scratch CD.
we really
Uh,
are.
Little white supremacy groups are in the street today because we didn't strange fruit their ancestors after we
Girl,
won the Civil War. So accountability should be what is 2028, honey. That needs to be the theme of 2028 and 2029 and 2027. Just all the way going forward. Accountability is the theme.
for as long as it takes, honestly,
Because
for as
just trying
long as it
to fix
takes.
everything that they've destroyed without accountability is like putting a Band-Aid on a slit throat. It's it's not
You're
gonna
like,
work, honey.
no,
It's not gonna
no,
work. It's
no,
gonna do no good to clean up the mess they made if we don't hold them to account, or they're just gonna make that mess again. So that's
they
all they're
are.
gonna
They
do.
are. And it all is, what kind of message does that send anyway? Because literally the reason that the fatback is in office today is because he didn't want to go to prison for the things that he was accused of and was found guilty of doing.
Yeah,
That's the God's honest truth. That is the only reason that this man was trying to get himself back into the seat, is because he wanted to make sure he didn't go to prison, and then he was going to carry out the rest of his genocide here in the United States, because that's what he's trying to do by trying to get rid of brown and black people.
yeah.
That's what he's
And
trying to do.
and then he stacked every department with somebody else who was evading accountability so that he
Mhm.
owns them. So they'll stay
Right.
on their knees so they don't
And
face
loyal to him.
accountability. Like Petey
Yeah.
Kegsbreath.
Oh
He
my
sexually
God, yeah.
assaulted a woman in a hotel room, forced
Yep.
her to sign an NDA, paid her off to make it go away. And now he's in control of the military.
That is
He's making very
insanity.
poor
And
decisions. He's putting our service members' health at risk, their lives
right.
at risk, their
Mhm.
children's future at risk, and everything
Mhm.
else. And it really goes all through me that one of the very first things he did was remove the guardrails of cybersecurity against Russia. This is where we're
That's
going to put on our
insanity.
tinfoil hat for just a bit. Because I
Okay.
started looking around yesterday. I started thinking about all the things that he's done to give Russia a free pass just to look at everything. Even Doge did it
Mm.
too. Remember, they left back doors open in Social Security and the IRS,
Right.
and
Right.
Russia was able to get it. Right. And I started wondering about his wife. I knew his wife was a producer on Fox News. And I started looking to her. She produced Fox and Friends, and she also produced the Jesse Waters show. You know, the little prick that was laughing the other day, thought rape was funny.
Um,
Just the worst personality on all
right.
of Fox TV, like
He's
bar none. He is
disgusting.
the
He's
worst piece of shit on all of Fox
disgusting.
TV.
He
That's the show
really
she
is.
produced. That's the show
Oh
she
my God.
produced. Well,
Figures.
she's older than Petey. They had an affair. She was married and Petey was married too. If y'all don't know this, and he knocked her up, and then they had to get divorces and get married and shit. But I started thinking about all the ways that Russia has pretty much manipulated everything around here. And I started thinking about how Fox News has consistently, starting in 2016, promoted Russian propaganda, right? And then it started to remind me of how the spy networks used to work.
Mhm.
Most Americans don't know this, but spies were usually recruited because they were actors or writers or people that could
Mm.
easily travel the globe, would have access to
Right.
certain information, and nobody would ever question why they were
Right.
traveling, why they were doing what.
Right.
And so I was like, well,
Mhm.
this woman literally created two shows on Fox News that shoved Russian propaganda down our face. What was she doing before that? What was his wife, Jennifer Cunningham Ratchet, now Hegseth, doing before that? Good luck trying to find out. I spent all
Really?
night last night trying to search up Jennifer's prior life. And all you
Huh.
can find out about her is that her father was a businessman, her mother was a homemaker, and she went to college in Maryland, and then she became a producer at Fox News. That's it. Her
That's a
internet
big old gaping
footprint,
hole.
her internet footprint is almost non-existent. And so I was like,
What?
why is her internet footprint almost non-existent? That doesn't make sense to me for somebody who was a producer on TV,
Right.
right?
Right.
And the internet will tell you that, well, producers work behind the scenes, so they have a smaller internet footprint. Honey, my grandmother has a larger internet footprint than his wife.
God.
And my grandmother doesn't do
What?
anything on the internet. She don't have a Facebook page. She don't have a YouTube. But you can search her and find out more about her today than you can his wife. Is that not suspicious, honey?
That's suspicious as fuck. What
Is
are
that
you
not
even
suspicious?
saying?
Everybody has a past that can be searched on the internet, whether they participated in the public or not. Joe Blow, Jane Doe, they've got internet presence. Why doesn't she? That's
Wow,
weird.
that is super weird.
That's
That
weird.
is
I'm not saying
super
that she's a
weird.
spy for Voldemort Poontang. I'm just saying it is very, very suspicious to me that you can't really find anything out about her. You can't even find out what her prior husband's name was, who she
What?
has children with.
Okay, now
It's
that's
like
too
they scrubbed
much.
the internet of everything that had to do with his wife. As a matter of fact, when you even try to see if she's got a Wikipedia page, instead it pulls up Pete's Wikipedia page. When you try to search things
Oh,
about her on the internet,
no.
everything it pulls up is in reference to her being Pete Hegseth's wife. Did she not exist before she married him?
Well, I know that that's how we would like it to be, because that's how they all do,
That's
right?
weird to me.
That's
That is
so weird to
weird.
me. That is
That is,
really strange.
what was
So
Jennifer doing
why would
before
you
she
not?
was screwing Petey?
Yeah, no, that's very, very suspect. I'm sure that there's somebody out there that knows what the
Yeah.
story is
So
and
if you're
has all of
listening
the
to this today and
information.
you grew up with Jennifer Cunningham, Ratchet, now Hegseth, spill the tea. What was she
Right?
like?
We want
Tell
to
us
know.
something.
Right.
Because I mean, I could give two shits about her, but now I do give some shits because it's mysterious as hell that you can't find out
Right.
anything about her.
That is
And not
crazy
only
to me.
that, I want to remind everybody that Petey Caxbreath has brought her into sensitive rooms. One in
Yes.
particular, when he was
Yes.
meeting with Ukraine to discuss
Yes.
aid for Ukraine because of the war. And she was in that room. And it was so weird and unnormal that they were scared to speak in front of her. Ukraine left the table
She's
that day and
also
was like, this, why was she in there? This made it hard
right.
for us to speak on a security level. And that wasn't the only
Right.
time. I want to remind you that his wife was on Signalgate. You remember, it
Signal
was
chats.
Petey.
Yeah, I was
It
about
was
to
his
say that.
wife
I was
and
about to say
JD when
that.
they leaked that
Yeah.
information over Signalgate that had to do with the strikes with the Houthis. But that wasn't the
Right.
only time that there was a Signalgate issue with Petey and his wife. She was on another Signal chat with his brother and his lawyer too,
Right.
discussing
Right.
sensitive information about Ukraine and stuff. She manages to always be there when it's time to talk about Ukraine in security meetings or on signal
That
chats.
is yeah. You know what is so
Look at the
strange to me,
tinfoil hat's
Christina? This
tinning, honey. The tinfoil hat is tinning.
listen, for good reason, that's a lot. But you know what I find so strange is that there's okay, since the fatback took over, how many of these stories do we hear, just like Signalgate and the fact that she was there in the meetings with Ukraine and so many other things? How many of these stories would have been major news that we would have talked about for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks to come? But
Yeah.
now they only stay in the news cycle for a day or two because they are inundating us with so much fucking information that we don't have a chance to not only absorb and dissect this information, we had to move on to the next, traumatic experience
Right,
because
right.
they're fucking us at every opportunity. Like they're literally taking us through the most horrific timeline on the
Flooding the
planet, and we don't
zone.
have time to absorb. That's
Yeah,
exactly right.
it's flooding the
We
zone.
don't have
Do
time
you
to
know somewhere
absorb.
else she was too? Do you remember when he
What's that?
filmed that little workout video from the aircraft carrier where he was doing the little skedaddle and he was really off rhythm, like that whole thing? She was there that day.
Was she really?
Hmm. She was there that day too.
Why?
They had filmed an earlier video where she was running the ship with the soldiers. She was there as well. He seems to have her in tow a lot, places that she should not be allowed to go.
Is it because he's trying to control her, or because there's something else
Well, we've always
afoot?
made jokes because she's the older one and he was basically nobody until he started sleeping with her, and then he got more time on fake Fox News and all of that. But either he needs his mama in tow because they don't know what he's doing, or
Right.
she's asking to be in tow, which is suspicious. Which is
That
suspicious.
is
Why does she
so
need to be in tow?
weird.
If any
That
other regime had done this, honey, if under
oh,
Obama, if his
oh,
leader of the DOD was
oh,
taking his wife
we already
into
know.
secret meetings and shit and security meetings, it would have been on the
We
news
already know.
every day. They would
We
have been
already know.
Republicans would have been asking to have him impeached and removed and replaced at the DOD. I mean, it would have been a whole thing. It would have been a whole thing.
Rules for
Um,
thee, but not for
Not for
me.
me. And to me, it
Right.
seems like if he can't prevent these small security breaches, if he can't, keep the cockroaches out of Fort Hood,
Oh, gross. So awful. Oh my
if he
God.
can't secure a laser and is shooting down his own fucking drones, then he's not the guy. He's not the guy. He's not
I
qualified.
can
But I
tell
mean, the
you what he
fatback said it,
does.
honey. Daddy Dumpy Pants said it.
Right.
He'd never get rid of Petey
He's
because the
good to
whole
look at.
reason he picked him is because he's good to look at. He looks good. He's a nice
Right.
looking. He's a good
Right.
looking man. He's a good
He's a
looking.
good-looking man, so it
So
excuses all the other bullshit
let
that
him
he
burn
does.
the ham world down, honey. At least he looks good while he's doing it. And I don't know who the fuck
Ain't
Daddy's
he
looking at
purty though?
because that
Ain't he
underbite son of a
purty?
bitch is not good looking, honey. I'm sorry. No offense to any of you out there that have an underbite today. I'm not trying to shame you. I'm just saying, honey. There's nothing sexy about an
He's
underbite, especially when
he's
you have
like,
a tendency to grind your teeth.
mm. I will give it to Petey though. I have to give him the he's owed a compliment. And I think that after I tell you what I believe to be a massive compliment for him, you might agree that considering all of the things that he does and how ineffective and how feckless and just, vain he is, the man can put on a full beat like nothing I've ever seen. I mean, the man knows how to apply some makeup. I'm fucking jealous, okay? I mean,
He's really
his
good at
skin
putting the
is
fop up there
smooth.
and getting the finger wave. Boy knows how to put a finger
Girl,
wave up there, don't he? He had it going on strong in Congress the other day. Just a beautiful finger wave, baby. Just a
oh
beautiful
my
finger wave.
God. I was they I
Who's
when
going
they
to tell him he
showed
was
him on the
wearing a black
camera.
woman's hairdo?
Oh my God. When they showed him on the camera, Christina, I was like, look at that flawless skin. Like, who is his makeup artist? Like, oh my
He's better at
God.
doing his makeup than cosplay Krista is.
I mean to tell
That's a
you,
damn
he's
shame when the
actually, I
men
mean,
in the regime are better at doing their makeup than the women. Have you seen Creepy People Mike Johnson, honey, and his little rosy pink cheeks and shit?
oh
Just
my
flawless, honey. Just
God.
flawless.
It's
Great blending
flawless.
skills. All of it,
I
baby.
believe that
Just
they took lessons from RuPaul and they just need to admit it. I
admit
mean,
it.
come on. We
Admit
know,
it.
we know. I mean, not only did it look flawless, like absolutely just matte. It wasn't even mattified because he had like a glow about him because obviously he's getting older in age. And for some reason,
Well,
somehow, it just still looked
I mean,
flawless.
we did pay for him to have a special makeup studio. He
Oh my
should look
God, I
flawless.
forgot about that. I forgot about that.
Yeah, we
Yes,
paid for him to have a makeup studio.
that
The
vain
man that
son of a
preaches about
bitch.
manliness needed a makeup studio. The
That is
man that's
crazy to
trying to
me.
make men more macho has a makeup studio.
Oh my God, I forgot about that. I wonder if he has that special light, like that mirror, that's so special that has all I just don't even I cannot. Can you imagine? His counter probably looks more convoluted with products than mine does, and that's saying a lot. Just saying, because I got all my lotions and potions trying to keep myself looking right. And that man is I can't even
He puts
imagine.
on makeup better than any drunk I've ever seen.
Right? How does he manage that? Oh my God. I
Mm.
just the level of just I don't even understand. Like how do they function with the extracurriculars that they do? Because that that's true. I mean, Marco Polo Rubio has done it while he's been sitting there in front of the committee. I've seen it with my own two eyes. There is
Popping
no
pills
denying
in
what he
front
was
of
doing. I couldn't get he's just like, I mean, he's sitting there with his water and he's just like,
and these are the people that's
I
supposed
mean,
to be doing this war. They're so way out of their kin, honey. They are so way out of their kin. They have no clue. You cannot win a war in the Middle East with bombs. And as a matter of fact, we
no,
know this because
no.
within the military itself, there's several papers, and I know they're available to Petey because they're available to me. So surely he has access to this information too, right? Like, yeah, I'm sure
Maybe
it's just the
they're just
universe
sending
isn't
them
just
to you,
specially picking me
Christina.
to give the information to.
They
So,
are, they
and
are.
we've
Tell
written
us.
several reports on this. We've done so much research that started after weapons of mass destruction went sideways for Bush.
Right,
We started researching extremism, and then we learned that lesson all over again in Afghanistan. You can't, you cannot kill an ideology. You cannot kill a religion. You
mm-mm,
cannot kill an idea
mm-mm,
with a bomb.
no.
All you do is reinforce more hate, more terrorism, a more alt-right regime. It just doesn't work that way. It never will. It never will. And with people
We're
like
in a more
Petey,
dangerous position now.
right, they are making it more dangerous and
Right,
more unstable.
right. Yeah.
And with this instability that is happening, that is
Hmm.
crushing the economies of Saudi Arabia, because Saudi Arabia's main moneymaker is its oil. And they can't
Yeah.
get it out of the Red Sea right now because of the Houthis.
No.
And if you think
Right.
their military is going to hold the Houthis back, I got news for you. Saudi Arabia's military sucks. Their leader sucks controlling the military. He's too young. You don't know what to do. And even before him, Saudi Arabia hasn't done any type of military incursion or military operation and done it successfully since 1991. And they've had several incursions with the Houthis, and every time the Houthis pushed them back. And it was the Houthis yesterday that shot at the two Saudi Arabian oil tankers. So there's no oil getting out. Saudi Arabia can't make the money that they need to make. That's one of the reasons they was hoping this nuclear deal would go through. That's one of the reasons that they've,
Right.
purchased EA Sports and all sorts of other shit too. So they're not so reliant on just their oil industry. So
Right.
he's crushing them. I
Hmm.
read an article today. Dubai is willing to pay people if they will make content to try to promote tourism, because tourism is down so bad. And that's a large part of the economy in Dubai, too. Yes, the richest people in the world live there, but they keep the economy afloat by other rich
Right.
people going to Dubai to party
Right.
and vacation. They can't do that in the middle
Right.
of a war. They can't do that in the middle of the war. So every economy in the Middle East is being crushed. Meanwhile, we're
Wow.
helping Israel commit genocides to try to wipe out the entire Muslim Arab population and steal their land too. At some point in the near future, we're going to see what we've seen in other conflicts in the Middle East, where we were fighting against one insurrectionist terrorist regime in favor of the country, and then we fucked it up so badly that the country itself merged with the terrorist regime and started fighting against us. And I think that's confusing for Americans because you hear things like Al Qaeda and
Right.
ISIS and all and Hamas and all. What you need to understand is that all these groups are intertwined in a certain specific kind of way. In this country, these people might not have been Houthis, might not have been fight with them, but then Israel come in and America did too and killed their fucking kids. And next thing you know, they've signed up to fight with the fucking Houthis, boo. That's the way it works. The Kurds usually help with us when we're talking about what goes on inside of Iran. But he meddled and lied to the Kurds so much at the beginning of this unnecessary war that they were like, we don't want your weapons and we don't want to help you. And that's what's starting to happen. And when that happens, all of their weapons are going to be pointed at us in Israel. That's what's going to eventually happen. Anyway, so back to the conversation about what's going on in the Middle East and how it's backfiring. So what's happening in Saudi Arabia with the Red Sea, what's happening with Israel trying to colonize all the Arab states, we're losing our allies currently right now, today, in the Middle East. Iraq is meeting with Iran. The Saudis are discussing whether or not Donald Trump can be trusted. It's not looking good. And some opposing fighting forces have now started fighting with each other against us. They've bound together. So it's not working out. Boom booms do not work in the Middle East with regimes. It doesn't. There's so much conflict and so much division and so many different little groups that we identify as terrorists. And one of the reasons this happens, what I need Americans to understand is that one of the main reasons this is happening is because of Israel. It's not just because they're Zionist and they're genocidal. It's because they don't want to have borders. So if we clean all this mess up, if the war ended today, what I need y'all to understand is if the war ended today, if we pulled our troops back, it wouldn't end. Israel would keep pushing the line
forward.
They would keep pushing it forward, just keep going and keep going. And more of these groups would be starting to gather together. We can't trust Israel. You need to understand that we have verifiable proof at this time that Dudu helped fund Hamas to pop off attacks to justify them taking other lands. In the back of my mind today, I'm wondering the Houthis that attacked Saudi Arabia in the Red Sea. That happened. The timing of it is so suspicious to me, honey. The timing of it's so suspicious. It's almost like the minute that the word came down the pipe, to Dudu and the rest of Israel, that the fatback Daddy Dummy Pants was going to do the nuclear deal with the Saudis. The next thing you know, Saudi oil tankers were being struck in the Red Sea. That's I'm not saying anything is going on. I'm just saying the timing of all of it's very suspect.
It's just very
Israel
suspect.
would love for the Saudis to bend the knee and decide that, what Israel's doing is normal. They would love that. They would love that because they could have the top half of Saudi Arabia. So when you understand how intertwined some of these terrorist organizations or settler organizations or how the hell you want to call them, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. They're people who live there. This is their land. At the end of the day,
girl,
it's their land. And he wants to take that from them.
Crazy.
And we're on the precipice. I want to quote to you what the guy from the UN said today, because he's right. He's absolutely right. He says, the situation is getting out of control. It is teetering on the edge of the unimaginable. The unimaginable. The region is being pulled into an ever-widening circle of confrontation. Ever-widening circle. That means what was just centralized around what should be the borders of Israel today has now expanded across the Middle East. Unimaginable conflict. What could we not fathom? Oh, these groups uniting together. That's what's unimaginable and unfathomable.
That is
is that
so
we'll
scary,
lose
Christina.
what allyships we have with Qatar. We'll lose what allyships we have with Iraq. We'll lose the allyships that we have in Jordan and Saudi Arabia and all of that. Because at the end of the day, if they start sitting down and talking to one another, the finger's going to point all in the same direction.
That is
It's going to
that
point in
is
the same direction.
so fucking scary.
And that's not the only problem we're having. Right now, Marco Rubio is speaking with the Asian conference. Like I said, we got operations going on in Manila right now too. We have 8
Right.
wars that we're participating in that were started thanks to the Orange War. Not 8 that he ended, 8 that he fucking started. And Marco
Right.
Rubio is supposed to be over there to try to, with the ambassadors of China, to try to tempers to try to tamper the tempers because President Xi will be coming soon. He's scheduled to be in the
Right.
United States in September,
Right. Just down the road.
just down the road. So there's all that going on too, and that's playing into what's happening in the Middle East. That's playing into what's happening in the Middle East as well. It is a complete and total fucking shit show. And somebody who doesn't know the difference between the word transistor and transgender is not the guy that's going to fix that mess. The guy who thinks that testosterone is going to make you stronger is not the man to fix that mess, honey.
No, he isn't.
The
No.
man who's more concerned with having a makeup studio today than the lives of soldiers is not about to fix what's happening in the Middle East, because the only way to
No.
fix it is to bring everybody to the table and find some type of, I don't know, something that they can bond on, right? There needs to be concessions made. And we're to the point now that the only concession that anybody in the Middle East is going to accept is definite borders for Israel. Borders that they cannot violate, borders that they cannot move across. That's the
Why do you
only way.
suppose?
That's the only way.
Right.
That's it. That's it. This is far beyond it being a 2-states solution with Palestine and Gaza today. We're past that. They're still doing that genocide, but at this point, we're past that. Now we've got to discuss the genocide that's happening in Lebanon, the genocide that's happening in Yemen, in Syria, in Jordan, in Iraq. It's happening everywhere. Everywhere. To make greater
Why?
Israel. So the only way we're even going to see a tiny bit of peace in the Middle East is to get control of Israel and say, these are your borders. This is all you get. This is all the fuck you can have. Period.
But that's not going to happen.
And it's
That's
not going
to happen while the
It's not
fatback
going to
is in
happen
office.
because, I seen a video the other day by a woman trying to tell us the history of Zionism and how it's not violent and it's not about taking land and it's not about this and this and that.
Okay.
That's bullshit.
Sure.
That's bullshit.
Okay.
I
Sure.
suggest you go back and you read all the things that Mr. Ben Gur had to say back in the day, the other Israel leader, the true Zionist who started this, and he made it very clear way back then that Israel has no borders. That's the problem.
It never will, according to them.
It never will. That's right. That's right. It never will. And that in and of itself is a problem. That's not anti-Semitic to say that Israel needs borders. If you're in America today and you're thinking we need a border and we have to protect it, why don't you feel the same way about Israel?
Exactly. 110%.
They don't have to have borders.
Exactly.
But we have to have borders. We're killing Americans in the street today over borders.
Right.
That are being
over
crossed.
One border specifically.
Yeah. We're killing people in the street because borders are so important. But we're fighting for Israel so they don't have borders. Make that make sense, honey. You can't.
It makes none. That there's no
If you had all the pennies in the world, you still ain't making no fucking change with that there.
No. No.
It's
that
crazy. Is at the end of the day, that's
it's
the biggest problem. It's if you've studied history, if you understand Israel, if you understand the genocide, if you understand the dynamics in the Middle East, it boils down to the simplest answer. The correct answer is always the simplest answer. The simplest answer is always the correct answer. And the simplest answer at the end of the day is that Israel needs defined borders that they're not allowed to cross. And those borders
Exactly.
cannot come from them usurping other people's land.
No. No. I mean, they didn't waste any fucking time when the fatback got elected for them to come out and say what they were going to do in Gaza. They
That's right.
wasted no
No
time. They
time.
came right out of the gate and said
Here's the map.
exactly what
It's
they had
Greater
every intention
Israel.
to do.
This is what we're
Right
taking.
from the, the shit, the ink wasn't even dry on. I was just like, oh my God, this is insanity. And the man has said it himself that he is going to bleed America dry
Yes. Yes.
and throw us out like yesterday's news.
It was 90, I always say 96, but I think it was actually 92 when he made the statement that we will make America our slave. We will suck the teat
Mm-hmm.
until they bleed.
Yep. Yup. And he's doing
Do you
it.
think that sentiment
He's doing it.
changed? Fuck no, honey.
Nothing about that has changed.
Nothing about that
Nothing.
has changed.
If anything, he's amped it up with just
He's amped
recent
it up.
merger between the U.S.
That's
For
right.
what he's
That's
trying to
right.
do with the
That's right.
military merger between Israel and the United States.
Oh,
And
we
if the
don't
Senate
need
lets that pass
America's
through,
money anymore. We don't need that 3.3 billion
what
guaranteed
the
every year in
fuck
alimony.
ever?
Oh, I bet you don't. When you have full access to our military coffers, yeah, you surely hell
Right.
won't.
No,
You surely the
no.
hell won't, honey.
Oh my God, but how do people not see this, Christina? Because it's written as plain as day on every fucking wall. He's graffitied the walls of America saying, I'm coming for you. We're going to go ahead and do whatever we want with you, and nobody can stop us because we have the fat back that doesn't know any better or does. Or I've got whatever. I mean, there's so many
Yeah,
things that
and
run through my head about that.
Pete's too busy getting a hard on because he's killing brown people, honey.
Because he's got that war ethos and
Yeah.
that racism just
People need to
running through
understand
his
that
veins.
if you think Petey's going to make wise decisions when it comes to war in the Middle
No,
East,
no.
you've got another thing coming because his racial
Mm-mm.
bias is going to prevent him from doing that. I want to remind everybody that he is a violent man and he's been inside of bars before having too much to drink, talking about death to all Muslims.
Oh my God.
He's just getting off on killing
I
brown
just,
kids, honey. He ain't trying to
I
bring
don't
peace.
understand that.
He wants a body
If you
count.
were to go and look at
He
that
wants at the end of the
website,
day to say, I killed 1,000 Muslims today. Yay, yay, yay.
that's so gross. That is so gross,
And they don't
Christina.
care how
That is
many
so
Americans have
disgusting.
to die for it.
No. And why do people not see that? Why do they not see? Because what I don't understand is if you love your country, because I get questioned all the time and people tell me all the time to go back to my country. If you don't love it here, if this and that, go back to your country, which first of all, Texas belonged to Mexico. So shut the fuck up and learn your history because Texas was la frontera de Mexico. Way like what are
That's
you
right.
even saying? How fucking stupid are you? So shut up. Texas, Utah, California, Nevada, New Mexico, all Mexico, all
Yep.
Mexico.
Yep.
So if
Yep.
anybody's an illegal in in the United States, it would be them, the people that are sitting there telling me to get out of my own country. Shut the fuck up. Anyway,
It just
I don't
boggles my
understand.
mind that people are telling me that maybe I should leave too. If you don't like it here, leave. I think you're confused. I love it here. And that's why I'm
Right.
fighting for it. You're the one that
That's
wants to
why I fight
eviscerate
for
my
her.
Constitution.
Right.
You're the one
Right.
that is trying to tear down my country. How about you leave?
Right.
Since you don't
Right.
believe in freedom of speech, since you don't believe in voting rights, how about you get out?
I'm fighting for our country. I know you're
Patriotism
fighting for
is
your
fighting
country.
for our country, our
For her.
Constitution and
Right.
our Declaration of Independence, not shredding it
Exactly.
up.
Right.
That's not
And
patriotism. And if you hate
the
if you
fact that
hate
people
birthright citizenship, I suggest you get the fuck out of here.
Exactly.
because you're not American.
Exactly. I just don't get
I don't
that.
care if
I
you've
don't
got
get
10
that.
generations that have lived here. If you don't believe in birthright citizenship, you are not an American. If you do not believe in freedom of speech, you are not an
You are
American.
not an
And if you
American.
think the sovereignty of another country is worth American lives today, you are not American.
Oh my God. The way that they put the way that they put Israel's agenda first, we're funding their healthcare. We're allowing their people to go to and have free education on our dime. They get to have all of the benefits that the American people are owed with
Paying
their
for
tax dollars. Right,
ourselves, but we don't get them.
right. Right. We should have all of these benefits that the Israeli people have, and we got none of them. And then we send them more money so that they can go ahead and have their boom
And
booms and do all these
speaking of
genocidal
all the
plays.
benefits that they have, what's it going to look like to our service members if we merge militaries and the IDF soldiers have more benefits than the Americans
Oh
do?
my God. I didn't even think about that, but fuck.
Yeah.
What the
They
fuck?
just gonna walk into it just free education, free health care, free safe. They can do whatever the fuck they want to do.
Girl, I
Meanwhile,
didn't even
you, the American
think
in the
about
American
that.
military, isn't treated as well as this guy from across the way, wasn't born in your fucking country and wants to see its destruction today, getting a higher wage than you, better access to food, better access to homes, better access to health care.
Oh
Their
my
children will have better access to
God.
all that too. Can you fucking imagine? Can you talk about losing your military like that?
That is insanity. Didn't they
American
just
female
forego a
soldiers
raise?
can't get abortions, but IDF soldiers can. How you gonna explain that in the ranks? How you gonna
That is
explain that?
insane.
How you
I
gonna?
didn't even think about
You're
that.
effectively saying that America's military can be Israel's slave military.
Israel's
Put your
bitch, get it
chains on.
right.
Put your chains
Right.
on. Get your shackles together and get in the field. You're not the same as them.
That's insanity. Didn't they just forego a raise to all of the veterans or
Yes.
to all of the military
Yes.
because they didn't
So
want to
they
do
just
that?
touted that their part of their new budget was to give a raise to those in the military. And I wrote it down, but I think I wrote it in another notebook. And they broke down how the raises is going to go. Like E4 through 6 is like a 7% raise, and then it trickles down from that to like
Mhm.
4% raise.
Mhm.
And they're talking about how they want to give better care to veterans too, and especially combat veterans. But you know how they want to raise the disability wages for combat veterans from taking from other veterans.
So crazy.
They
It
want to
is
take the
so
money
crazy.
that's supposed to be for veterans in the next few years to give to combat veterans today instead of actually having a budget that would just give both sets of veterans fair pay and access to
Which
things
they deserve. They deserve
they deserve.
110%. They
They
deserve
deserve.
that for
Petey gets
serving
a
the country.
raise, but
Right. Oh,
veterans get
yeah.
cut so Petey can get a raise. We'll give combat veterans a raise, but we're going to take it away from
As
veterans
soon as
that
you're no
didn't see
longer.
combat. And I got
Right.
news for Americans too. Just because a service member did not fight in a war doesn't mean they haven't been injured. My
Right.
son served in the military. He never served overseas and he never saw war, but he injured his body training.
Mhm.
He injured his body training. He injured his hip and his back just in training. Is he less of a veteran today because he didn't get his leg blown off in a war, but he hurt himself in training? No, he's not
Absolutely
less
not.
of a veteran. His
No.
body was still used for this country.
Right.
Why are we putting our veterans in different categories? Oh, well, that veteran has legs, so it's cool. We'll take from them.
That is
That
insane to me.
that's insane. That is
It
insane.
is insane.
You've got a
It is
budget
insane.
so that you've got $125 million budget to change the name of the Department of Defense to the Department of War, but you can't make a budget to take care of service members without taking from other service members. Make that fucking make sense.
It doesn't make any sense, Christina. None of it makes sense. I mean, nothing that they say, they speak out of both sides of their mouth. And literally, they're like, okay, we're going to take this from this person, but then we're going to give it to them. But don't say anything to this person because we're going to do it, but we don't want you to be mad about it because it's the American way.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
literally the American way to screw our military every which way they
It,
possibly
it's
can. And
it's
it's
it's so
really gross.
frustrating coming from a party that has preached, about the military. Our military
Mhm.
families, our military families, our military families, patriotism, patriotism. And every time you turn around, they're taken from them. Every
They
time you
are.
turn around. It's crazy
It's
to
so
me that
gross.
that anti-war Democrats are doing more to protect our military today than the warmongering military party.
Why are there
What
so
the
many
fuck? I
homeless
mean,
veterans? That is a
it makes no
disgrace
sense.
to our
Not
country.
one
It's
veteran should be
disgusting.
homeless today.
Not
Not one.
one. Not
Not one.
one. It's insanity to me. The fact that there are
Why do
so
we have
many
homeless veterans
homeless
when,
veterans.
the Coast Guard Commandant is living in a $6 million home?
Makes no sense to me, Christina. I can't. And it's so the way that they've done that, where they have the billionaires in just the regular America, they've done the same thing to our military and the people that are working the front lines, the people that are putting their life on the line, because we already know that the generals are not on the front line.
Right.
In
Right.
fact, we know that none of that is happening. The people that are on the front line are the least cared for when it comes to our military because there is already a classification, and I understand that you work your way up into being in the higher ranks,
Right.
but
That's in
you
any
can't
job.
tell
That's in
me
any
that
profession.
no, but you can't tell me that the person at the front line is any less important than the person that is the general. Maybe he has obviously the general has a lot more responsibility, but that doesn't make him less of a person and less of necessities. Get
That's
so
right.
fucking for real.
That's right.
It
That's
just
right.
it's so disgusting.
That's
I
right.
cannot with that, and the fact that we allow that bullshit, there's so many things that happen in the military that people just don't talk about because they
It's a
don't wanna
lot.
talk about the
It's a lot.
amount of disgusting
There's
behavior.
sexual abuse in the military.
Mhm.
There's it's just so much. I can't even go through the list of all the things that have the military that the general public doesn't know about because it doesn't make average news. And the military's been really good at always
At
keeping
hiding it.
its shit secret.
Right. Right.
And I understand the reason for that. Like everybody
Mhm.
shouldn't know all the deep details of things that are going on in the military because at some level that poses a security risk. If we know certain parts of the military are falling apart, then our enemies know it too.
Right.
You know,
Right.
so it's an embarrassment. Like right now, China and Russia and everybody else is looking at Pete, and there's cockroaches on the fucking wall in the mess hall. We're
Ugh.
colliding with each other in midair. He's taking unnecessary risks doing flyovers in the United States. They look at all at that, and they already know they ain't gonna be able to do war. They can't even get cockroaches out of the mess room. Do you think they're a threat to us? That's what the whole world is looking at and seeing right now. They know that the
How
leader of the
long?
military is cares more about putting gel in his hair, getting his finger wave correct, and having concealer on today. That's not intimidating to America's enemies. If anything, they're looking
It's
and
like
they're
to
salivating and going, "Oh yeah, we're
oh
watching
my
the downfall of
god.
America."
That's
At their
exactly
own
right.
hands.
How long do you think it's gonna take us as a society to be able to be back in the good graces of the world stage? Because what they've done now, to me, in my eyes anyway, is literally a generation of harm to our society,
Yeah.
at minimum. A
Well, it
generation.
comes back to accountability. If we want to have our standing on the globe again, then they need to see that we are holding these incompetent, corrupt people accountable. And
Mhm.
we'll win back favor just like that.
God, I
It
hope so.
all boils down to accountability at the end of this.
Right. Right.
It really does. If we want our allies to trust us again, when we take back control, then we've got to punish those that caused this problem. It's that
That's
simple.
true.
Because actions speak
Yeah.
louder than words. And just for the red hats out there, if we was now in control of Venezuelan oil, how come the cost of your gasoline is going up from the unnecessary war? He promised it would
Right.
stabilize our market during his war. Do you know we're
Right.
45 days away from running out of our oil reserves? We have 45 days of oil reserves left.
That is
That's it.
insanity.
That's it.
You know that
That's
there's
it.
some of the red hats out here that have been like, why are we depending? Why does it matter what is happening over across the way? Because we produce plenty of oil of our own. Like, why does it even matter? And I'm just like, tell me you're stupid without telling me you're stupid. And then also, do you not understand that the price of oil is a global price?
Yeah.
It's not like we decide here in the United States what the price is, period.
Even
It's a
though we
globally
control the
agreed.
currency in which oil's traded,
Right. For how long though? Like for how
not very
long?
much longer.
Be
Not very much
right.
longer.
Exactly.
That was part of what Iran was doing. They're saying we're going to start trading our oil in yen instead of the U.S.
Right.
dollar.
That's
That
exactly
will
right.
crumble the U.S. economy. What most Americans don't know is that our whole economy, the structure of it that keeps it afloat, is based off the fact that we don't allow people to sell or buy oil in anything other than U.S. currency. So if other countries
Exactly.
start trading their oil outside of U.S. currency,
We are booked.
we're fucked because they just refuse to invest in other forms of energy that we don't need oil. So fuck.
God. It is
Shit.
so it literally it makes my head hurt, Christina, because I just don't understand how people don't understand. And honestly, I will be fully transparent. I didn't understand so many of these things until I started doing some fucking research because Google is free. And I don't understand how people just are not that interested in what is happening in the world because it's serious shit. It's serious shit. Like
Well, that's
everybody
also
should
one of
be
the perks
doing their own
of being
research.
American. It's a perk of being
Right.
American. You don't have to be informed because life, for the most part, has been semi-comfortable here.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, that's true.
Not for every
Unfortunately.
American, but at least the
No.
illusion of comfort has kept people complacent so that they don't have to know what's going on. Well,
Ugh,
that
it's so
comfort's gone. You
exhausting.
better learn some shit, baby.
Right.
you,
The
you know what I
lesson
mean?
here
The comfort's gone. It's time for you to learn some shit, honey.
And the lesson here, and but people ask me all the time, they're like, well, you started this whole thing where, you got into the political sphere, but once the fat back is gone, you're really going to have no talking points. I'm like, just because the fat back is gone doesn't mean that
Honey,
this
he's the
whole
puppet.
fucking thing goes,
He's a
oh
puppet.
my God, why are
he's
seriously,
he's a you
tell
think
me.
there's not going to be corruption when he's gone? You think that we're
Of
still going
course
to have
there
Congress
is.
people who aren't sleeping with kids, raping fucking women, and cheating the system and committing fraud? That's every day in America, honey, and that ain't going to
Right.
change just because he's gone. There'll always be
I
something
don't,
to talk about.
right.
And since
Yeah.
we've been talking about war, there's something I want to say because when I dropped this on my life partner last night, he said, I feel like my brain just blew apart. I didn't even think of it that way. We're always told, especially after the end of an unnecessary war, that the war was about oil, aren't we? People even say it about
Mm-hmm.
this war we're in right now. Oh, it's all about oil and money. No, the war we're in
Mm-hmm.
right now is about genocide and
Mm-hmm.
Israel wanting to colonize the Middle East. That is the entire fucking reason for the war. The reason that most Americans think that all these wars we do in the Middle East is about oil is because that has been an acceptable excuse that is told to
Mm-hmm.
us. We don't
Right.
start wars because of oil. We've never started a war over oil. It's
Mm-hmm.
always been started over ideologies and hate. Okay. But then after the war's over, while we're in the middle of it, it looks devastating. The Republican comes in and says, we're doing this because we need oil, or this was about oil. That's oil has been the war distraction since the 70s. It's convenient.
God.
You got to give the
Right.
American people a reason, right? Right. Because if we just told the American people we're just going over there to kill people because fucking we hate brown skin.
Right. That won't work.
That's not gonna fly.
No.
That's
No.
not gonna fly. So we've always used the excuse that it had to do with oil. And I watch people repeat it every day, all the time, because oil is something that comes from the Middle East and it has, and it's all about the trade and the economy there. So that's just a very convenient excuse to use. But we're not fighting wars over oil. We never have. We produce quite a bit here. We're not fighting over oil. It's just a convenient excuse to use after the war
Right.
has begun.
Right.
Because you
Right.
can't tell the truth. We're not going to win this war. We don't know what the
No.
fuck we're doing. Americans are
No.
coming home in body bags. So we've
Yes.
got to find
More than they're
something.
saying.
And it worked really well in the 70s because there was an oil crisis.
Right.
And that idea has bled into generations that weren't even alive in the 70s. That's how much it's been shoved
Girl.
down our throat. We can't have another gasoline or oil crisis. So war, 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 war. It's never about oil. When I said that to my life partner last night, he was like, holy shit, you're right. We don't start wars over oil. That just becomes the excuse once we've had our ass handed to us. Well, well,
I don't
well,
know.
it's now time to take a break and hear from our sponsors, Not Your Merch. We'll be back expeditiously with more of the news, more of the tea, and more of the bullshit. Well, well, well. Before we get back to the tea, this episode was brought to you by Not Your Merch. If you like your politics loud and your merchandise louder, dear, then head on over there. Podcast 10 for a discount, friend. They've got all the unapologetically loud apparel you need. Shirts, drinkware, and so much more. Like these cute little guillotine earrings for the GOP's tiny peens. Anyway, we'll be back with the tea. Head on over to Not Your Merch and have a view. You might want to purchase something soon that suits you. So, the war's not ending anytime soon, but what I can see, or what it's looking like to me, is that the fatback, he's gonna rein it in a little bit. They're gonna do a bunch of strikes today, and then I predict there's gonna be another ceasefire real soon. He's gonna
Oh my
declare
God.
a ceasefire real soon because shit is so entangled right now, especially since the Houthis are controlling the Red Sea and
Right.
Iran is controlling the Strait of Hormuz, and Iraq is currently in
Right.
Iran talking to their president and leaders to come to some sort of agreement, Dia,
Right.
and that deal is off the table if the Saudis don't want to give over their land to Israel. I am predicting that before the week is out, probably we're going to see another ceasefire. He's going to have to put brakes on it for a minute.
He's
It's too
gonna.
entangled. It's too entangled. I
Yeah.
think we're going to see another ceasefire. And I think the next ceasefire is going to lead not to peace in the Middle East, but it is going to lead to a little bit of a withdrawal.
You think?
I think so. I think so.
Huh.
It's not over, but I think that they're going to do it quietly. They're not going to tell us that they're doing it, but he's going to do a ceasefire soon. It's going to be too out of control to handle. The war's power resolution is getting closer and closer. I mean, we've done passed a few, but at this point, that amount of pressure that's happening today, the Senate can decide not to do anything else for the Republicans. They can decide to not do anything until he submits to the war powers resolution. So it's going to put him in a corner to where he's going to have to announce a ceasefire deal.
Just to make sure that he looks like he's the strong person in control because he's not.
Yep.
God.
Yep.
No, it makes complete sense to me. It totally makes sense. 100% makes sense to me.
Yep.
It's
No, everything
insanity,
that's coming down the
Christina.
pike, I can see it, and I can see it. He's going to declare another ceasefire right away.
God.
There was something else I had in my notes that I didn't cover. I think it was on the other page. Oh, I wanted to go through so people know the totality of what they're asking for the unnecessary war, because I noticed yesterday a lot of people were throwing out a lot of different numbers, and it made it very confusing. They want 1.6 trillion, and that
Uh-huh.
includes, money to rename it the Department of War and all that. But separate from that, Petey is asking for another 95 billion just for his current war operations that we've already spent 37.5 billion on.
What?
Yes. So it's more than what the news is telling you. Altogether, we're looking at 1.6 trillion plus another 95 billion.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unfucking so
Yeah.
we can't afford, again, healthcare. It's too expensive to provide healthcare, childcare, housing, gas, all of the things. It's too expensive for us to do that, but it's not too expensive for us to go ahead and drop bombs that somewhere else so that we can continue on with genocide for another country.
And
That's what you're telling me
that's
right
not
now?
including the money we're going to need after this to
Right,
repair the
to
damage
rebuild.
that's been done, to
Right.
rebuild.
Right.
And
Right.
I keep seeing Republicans on the Hill talk about, well, that's okay because logistically we need to move our military installations in the Middle East out of there and start putting them in like Israel and stuff. That's still gonna cost money.
All of that costs money.
Like you still got to come up with the money to build that, right? Like you don't just get to
It
wipe off
doesn't
all the debt
matter.
that you've made from blowing shit up over there and rebuild. That's still debt. Like it's still money that has to be repaid. And when we look at some of the satellite pictures and do estimates, it looks like about $2 trillion worth of damage to our military infrastructure in the Middle East.
That
Two
is insane.
trillion dollars worth of damage.
Oh my
All the
God.
equipment that's got to be replaced, all the radar systems, just everything. This war's getting more expensive every second that I speak. And it's such a large amount of money that I don't think Americans can grasp how much money that is. To put it in
I'm
simple
struggling.
terms, your kids will be paying off this war.
God,
Your
this
kids'
man has
kids.
destroyed everything. He's destroying everything. And then for as long as this man is in office, it'll take us that much longer to get back to where we need to be. And I wish more people would understand that. And I wish that the red hats would wake up to the fact that he is depending on their lack of interest and or knowledge, or just because they don't
Their
care and they're in a
laziness.
cult.
Let's
That's
call it
just
what it is.
crazy.
You're lazy. You're
It's
lazy.
I would be mad if somebody lied to me as much as they do and assumed that I was that stupid. They should be mad that he literally thinks that they are the stupidest people on the planet, because that's what he thinks. And he relies on that. Like how I would be mad. Like I would be mad if you thought I was a dumb person, you know? Maybe one of these days America will wake up, Christina, because I do hope that day comes sooner rather than later. And we know that it's going to happen. It's just it's a slow process, but we're at the I want people to understand, and I know that we're making it maybe potentially sound hopeless, but we are at the precipice of us changing everything. We really are. People are waking up left and right. I know that you go out to the twatter streets, and I know I go out there. If you go and you look at the Fatback's Truth Social, you'll see that he has nothing but bots, nothing but propaganda. And everybody that is anybody that once supported this man is calling him out for the lies and the deception. And they're going to continue to do that, and it's going to continue to fracture and fray. Anyway, well, this was a good one. That's a lot of information. People are going to be sitting here like reeling, I think, after this one.
Yeah. Somebody out there in the everywheres, please find out more for me on Jennifer Cunningham Ratchet Hexeth. She had to exist somewhere out there before 2017. More specifically, I want to know if she has ever taken a trip to Russia.
Right? That left
I'm just
me reeling.
curious.
I'm like, oh
I'm
my
just
God.
curious. I want to
There
know if
has
she's
to
ever
be.
taken a trip to Russia, honey, or
Yeah,
Cuba, or South America. I'm
right.
curious about her life before. I want to know about her prior husband too. I know somebody out there
God,
knows. Pour the tea
there's
for us.
absolutely somebody that knows. We're waiting. We wanna know. We
Yeah, I want to know. It's just
definitely
it's
wanna know.
weird that the
It's
wife
very
of the
weird,
Secretary of the DOD looks like her internet history was scrubbed.
which we already know
That's
they do anyway.
that's weird. That's weird
It
to
is
me.
weird,
Anyway,
and they're
today
gonna
was a
keep
fun
trying.
episode, wasn't it? We talked a
It
lot.
was. It
We
was.
talked a lot. And
We
when the
did.
subjects aren't as heavy, it will be funnier. But today was
Yeah,
a hard day with the war and everything that's
it
going on.
was. It was. It is a hard time, but we know that we're getting through it, and we know that we're gonna come out on the other side. It's just the it's bleak right now, but we're gonna have to just bear down and continue moving forward. That's just all we can do right now,
Support
you
your
know?
local VFW. They are fighting for equal pay for all veterans and equal care, too. The current
Right.
regime is fighting against the VFW, and if you're like me and you care about your military, find your local VFW and donate. Help keep them alive and help them do what they need to do to fight for our veterans. I wanted to add
We'll
that
make
in
sure that
there.
we put some yeah,
Yes.
we'll make sure that we add some, resources down at the bottom where people can go and find the information, so
Okay, that's
just
a
know
big
that.
thing. They're attacking the VFW right now, and I can't have that. I grew up inside the
Yeah.
halls of a VFW. I can't have
Okay.
that.
We will make sure that we, add the resources down at the bottom, but we'll be back next week. These 2 episodes the first 3 episodes will be dropped, so we'll be back next week. We'll be back next week talking about other subjects. I'm not really sure what they are right now, but we will be talking about some additional subjects, and hopefully they will not be as heavy as Christina had mentioned before, because we wanna make sure that even though we're bringing all the tea, we're still gonna be able
Yeah,
to be as lighthearted as we possibly can be considering the circumstances, so
yeah, yeah. Mm. Oh, and somebody asked me if I'd do a little bit more digging on Peter Thiel. Baby, I've done dug up everything there is to dig up on Peter Thiel. But I did
go
find
girl.
something new, so I'm gonna start working on that this weekend. Maybe that'll be an episode
Nice.
next week. Now that I have some new tea on a lonely muskrat, we might do a broligarchy episode.
Ooh, I like it. I like it. Okay. I can't wait.
Cause that's
I
some
can't
hope. That's
wait.
gonna be hope core tea. The rats are fucking fleeing the ship, honey.
I love it. I fucking love it.
The rats are fleeing the ship, and it's fabulous.
Well, I can't wait for next week then.
Yeah.
But until then, we hope you enjoyed this episode of the Not Your Podcast.
See you next week. Love
See you next week,
you.
baby.